you, sir.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I've been notified that the
Thank
meeting
you,
is
sir.
being
You are welcome.
recorded, and I believe we'll be able
Thank
to
you, sir,
have
very much.
a successful meetings, and may Almighty Allah guide us through, and may what we are going to learn be beneficial to all of us. Yes, like the previous presentations, I follow some of them, and I'm quite interested with what I have seen, and most especially the courage and willingness of the participant to learn is really encouraging and motivating. And we hope what we are learning here will be a key to most of our success in our endeavors in different careers. I don't know. The slides is with the coordinators. I don't know whether you are to put it through or I'm the one to
So
present.
you can share it so that you can control the slide by yourself.
Okay,
Or
but
if you want us to share it, then we can equally share it.
okay, I think it's better you share it so that we'll be able to go through it. Yes.
Okay. So let us pick it.
Okay.
Then we'll share it.
As usual, to all my colleagues here, I appreciate when I joined the other previous one of the previous sessions that many of the participants here are in academics or research institutions, and they were familiar with the research. I'm opportune to be here to facilitate. So, facilitator is someone who is guiding the discussions, and I want the discussion to be more interactive. With the slides we are going to see before us, it will be guiding what we are going to do. I've tried my best to capture the major aspects needed within the title given to me. So we'll be able to have the presentations, and later we'll interact more with colleagues, and everyone is free to put forward his contributions. So we are now waiting. My coordinator, is it giving problem?
Yes, sir. I'm about to share it.
Okay.
In the next 1 minute, inshallah.
Okay.
I think it is even available.
Okay.
It's just that the network is trying to give us.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I think
This is it.
we can go ahead.
Yes. Yes. Can we put it to yes? Good. Okay. So I hope all my participants are with the slides now. This
Yes, sir.
yes,
Yes, sir.
this
We have it.
academic, okay. This
Yes,
academic
sir.
writing and publishing, I think this is the sixth presentations, if I'm following well. There are other presentations before this. The previous presentations are background to what we are going to discuss today. Despite that, there are some little callback from the previous so that we can be able to have enough ground to discuss what we are going to discuss. As earlier introduced, this is a workshop organized by this Career Service and Polytechnic Advancement Center. We appreciate their effort in doing that. We have two items of interest. That's writing a research paper, structure and key components, then choosing the right journal for publications. I'm Alhaji Abdul Salam. So we can go to the next slide, which is about the presentations outline. I have 6 outline items here for our discussions. The introductions, we have to give a background to say exactly what
You
it's
focus.
all about. Then the different types of research papers available and the ones we are much interested in. Then structure and key component of research paper. There are different research papers as we have seen in our presentations too. So for these our discussions, our attentions will be on the three before us: the conference paper, the journal paper, and the student research work. These are what is very common, and our attentions will be on them. Goal and objective of publications. Then we'll now have a look on choosing the right journal for publication, and question and answer will then follow. Next, then introductions to,
Sorry.
okay, introductions, academic writing and publication. Next slide. This is just to entertain you. Yes. Then, what is academic writing? We need to know what is academic writing in order to be able to have a proper perspectives of our discussions. It is a means upon which we convey complex ideas and informations in a clear, concise, and not objective manner. It's a way by scholars and researchers communicate to others their ideas, their findings, their feelings on what either of the subject they choose, either of the topic they choose. Such communications usually in the universities or research institutions. That's where the scholars are, and they were giving out their researches to the audience. The audience may be within or outside. And besides, this academic writing has some characteristics. It has some unique qualities and quantities in which use of formal language is one of the most essential, because if no formal language, then there will be no proper communications, as academic writing aim at communicating. Specialized vocabularies, precisions, you don't give much details that are not needed in order to get your informations clearly for your audience, and they should be able to follow. Strict adherence also is essential. Next slide. Then we have to recast back little, being able to know what academic writing is, then what is research. We say in academic writing, we disseminate our researches. So what is a research? There are a lot of definitions earlier about what a research is, but I am able to pick just two simple and clear meaning of research, which involves what? Finding out or solving a problems. Once you are making an attempt to involve a research, a different process that will give a solution to a problem, you are doing a research. A simple thing to look at is when you wake up in the morning and there is no food stop in your house and you need to get it, and you find a way of getting it. So the process you taking in getting that is a research approach, because you have to think about how to do this, do that, do that. So it has a procedure. There are methods, and there are some materials and methods in whatever you will be able to achieve in solving problems. So the same thing in research. So being able to say little about what a research is as a reminder, then I also present three types of research with examples. We have research types of research by purpose. We have a type of research by what? Purpose. So I think we are you on the slide? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
We are on the slide, sir.
Yeah, we're in the slide, sir. We're seeing.
Okay. So we have this
Descriptive.
yes.
Are you done with it? Do you go to the next slide?
Yes, I'm coming. I have some little thing. I think
Okay.
if you allowed me, let me do
Okay, sir.
this. It will be easier for me to control. I thought you launching would be much simpler, but I think it's better that we. I does that. This just be patient with me. Few minutes. We'll continue. Okay. So okay, we are on types of research by purpose. If you get into a research, you need to know your purpose. Why are you into such a research? I have presented just 4 examples of these types of research by purpose, for which we have a descriptive, exploratory, explanatory, and comparative. These are terms familiar to us, but if we take like descriptive as an example, we can be able to look at situations whereby you want to enlighten your students on the grading system of their examinations. You take it as a research, and all you will be doing is descriptive to be able to explain to them how they will be able to understand the result given to them. But if you are trying to show them how you they will be able to calculate their result on their own, so it's going beyond what descriptive, is now going to like exploratory, showing them how you arrive at their own GPO or cumulative grade point average. So these are terms familiar, explanatory, and comparative when you are comparing to, and there are quite number of these types of research by purpose. It depends on why you are doing the research. Then type of research by design. I appreciate in the subsequent presentation a lot of explanatory descriptions were given on what a quantitative or qualitative design is. And most of the explanation is the type of research by design. In the quantitative is about what are the kind of your data. The kind of data you are using will be able to tell you whether you are doing a quantitative or otherwise. That is by the design. Qualitative also is about the nature of your own data you are dealing with, which is about qualitative informations. It attempts to gain an understanding of the underlying reason and motivation for action. Okay, this is quite familiar. The other type of research that I'm more interested in, that I want more attentions to be on, is by result and outcomes. These two types are either quantitative or qualitative. What is the nature of your results? What is the nature of the outcomes? What are you bringing out as a solutions after your research, as an output after your research? So if this is a kind of exploratory, explanatory, descriptive that is exposing situations, conditions, or understanding, and allow for further deliberations through conclusions and recommendations, such kind of research is qualitative. So it's just giving you an informations, a clear understanding of either situations, conditions, or understanding of one aspect or the other. But if your result or outcome is quantifying, giving you the extent or level or clear understanding of what is being exposed, then you are now doing a quantitative research by outcomes or by results. So there are some misunderstanding by many researchers to differentiate this type of research by outcome or by design as to either is quantitative or qualitative. Let us have a look for an example here to understand clearly. Yes, if you take an example of situations whereby as a researcher you are able to do a research, like say, okay, about student performance. You want to expose the level of student performance, let's say in the polytechnics. So you want to show how the students are doing well. If you are just exposing the situations of the or the condition or the understanding to people how the students are performing well, then you are on a qualitative research. That's the nature of your outcome or your result. But when you are trying to tell us the number of people that are getting distinctions, the number of people that are graduating per year, and the nature of other things, level, situations of the students, with what are they getting in by the entry requirement, and what are they getting at the end by percentage. The entry is so percentage and the graduation is at so percentage. You are dealing with numbers to describe the extent, the level. Then you are now giving a quantitative result, the quantitative outcomes. But when you're only telling us the student usually graduate with good results, distinctions, that and that, with this clear of understanding of their learning outcomes appropriately, all that, you are not telling us about any number, any level, on any extent, then you are on a qualitative type of research by result or by outcomes. I think this will help a researcher a lot in streamlining and designing his own instruments, and as well collecting the data appropriately and analyzing appropriately with the appropriate outcomes. Then what are the objective of research? The objective of what? Research. The purpose of research is to find what? Answers to questions, as we earlier said, through the application of scientific methods. So what are the stage of doing that? That's the objectives. Objectives are stage-wise of achieving something. One is to get familiarity with a phenomenon, to achieve new insight into it. Okay, as a researcher, you have to be able to know this, your research is by purpose, what is the type? By design, what is the type? By outcomes, what is the type? Then you now continue to portray accurately the characteristics of a particular individual and situations or groups that would be able to give you appropriate data and information that would be good for your own research. Then to determine the frequency at which some things occur, then this may depend on whether you are on qualitative or quantitative research approach by design or output. Then you now test hypotheses or causal relations between variables if the needs are. So after that, being able to show this little background about academic research and what type of research are, then we now have a look on what a publication is, because these are the other components of our presentations. So what is publishing? Publishing refers to the process of making information or content available to the public. Whenever you are making others to know a situations, a conditions, or what is not known to them, you are now making it public to them. You are now making things known to them. So you are publishing. This may be either through traditional methods or any other advanced methods of our today's disseminations of what informations, which is more common using digital formats. So being able to understand what a publishing is, for our interest now, journal publication. Why journal publication? Why journal what? Publications. Journal publications refer to the process of having what? Scholarly what? Article or research papers published in academic or professional journals. Whenever you have your research outputs being put into a acceptable format, either as a journal, a conference paper, or any other form of write-ups which is not within the scope of our discussions, but we just mention them, then you are now what? Making a journal what? Publications, depending on the types of the journal. These journals are typically peer-reviewed. These are some of the characteristics. They are peer-reviewed. They they will be asking the publisher to make a lot of corrections, a lot of compliance to their guidelines. Journal publications are often considered for a formal and credible way to disseminate research findings. Sorry. Journal publications are always considered as a formal means of disseminating what? Research findings. You'll be able to have a lot of findings, a lot of research, but if you didn't publish, people wouldn't know. And once others publish earlier than you can no longer publish except if you are going to make a rejoinder to what they have published, or you show a different approach to what they have done to add more information to what they have. So it is essential that whatever you have a research, if you didn't publish, so you did nothing. So publishing is essential component of a researcher. Okay, there are different means or way of which this publishing is achieved. Either print, the one that we are common with in our shelves in many offices, in institutions and research centers, you see all these print journals, or online, which you access. Okay, so some are open and some are not open, that you have to subscribe before you can be able to access. So with this little background, now we are going further to a different type of research papers. Different types of what? Research what? Papers. So before then, we need to know what is a research paper. Yes, or a scholarly paper is means the same, and it's an academic writing that provides an in-depth analysis, evaluation, or interpretation of a single what point. It's one of the brevity in research not to bring different or many topic or many subject within a single particular research paper. It should be what? Mono. Only one topic, single topic. And that may be achieved through empirical evidences. An academic journal also contains original research result It has to be original. Originality is essential. It has to be reviewed. That is, what you are giving out within the research paper is an upward, is a continuation of what others have already published. So that's why it's essential to do a literature review of the existing knowledge before you now bring your own on top of the subsequent. It is a formal style of writing, usually in universities, research institutes, and it's characterized by many things we earlier mentioned. But we are still insisting on this basis. Third person. It has to be a third person approach, a perspective. You shouldn't use first person perspective in making your narrations. I don't know that you're getting what we are saying. You will be able to see
Yes.
that some people, when they are making their write-ups or their representation of the outcome of their research, they used to be using this first person pronouns to be able to be describing themselves. No, research is always supposed to be a third person pronouns to present and have a clear focus on the research problem, because people need to know the problem you are solving so that they can be able to understand exactly the result and then how you achieve, so that subsequent researchers can follow your methods or your approach in solving their own problems. Some common examples of academic writing are dissertations, thesis, which is usually in the academic institutions, projects, or then there are some for grants when you want to get some money, some funds to be able to do a research. You have to write to describe and sell the ideas to others. Okay, or a project which you are very much familiar with in the undergraduate studies are projects usually being written by students. Okay, then we now have some example of different types of research papers. Different types of what? Research papers. We have the analytical research, which is analyzing, exposing different situations, conditions, depending on the subject of a choice. We have the basic research paper. We have the definition paper, in which, in such a write-off, it is only making you to understand a subject, define it clearly, bringing out the concept for proper understanding. Then there are these persuasive or argumentative. Yes, it's somehow similar to compare and contrast paper. They are cause and effect paper. So it is essential for any researcher writing off his paper to be able to know, this is my write-off, this is my result of the research. Where is it falling? Is it a correlational research? And my paper should be a correlational research paper. Then you now be able to look at the characteristics of that particular paper, the basic components that are essential for that particular paper from a sample of a reputable writer in that area, so that you can be able to sculpture and shape your own to agree with such a scientific unified approach. These are one of the skills that a researcher ought to develop. You don't do on your own. You are not the first one to do. Many have done before you, and they follow a scientific approach, and it has been accepted and agreed. Yes, they have followed. It has been certified. So you, as a learner, you now bring their own, put before you, look at the various components. That is why this discussion is about the components. Then how did they come about each of these components? What are the characteristics? appreciate in the previous presentations, you have been asking about the use of this AI or GPT, all these new approaches. Yes, it's allowed. It's good for a researcher to familiarize himself with them. So the only thing you ask, you can ask the GPT that please, what are the characteristics of a survey research? What does it entail? What are the components? What are the key structures? It will be able to guide you and give you proper. Then you can ask examples. They will search and get example and present you. Then you now look, oh, my research, yes, is a survey research. So let me follow the format and ensure compliance. No, after that, you now come to understand, no, this is not a survey. My result, my research, my findings are experimental research. Okay, then what are the qualities of an experimental research? What is it require? What are the components? What should I avoid? What should I bring in? So it's essential to know these different types of these research papers. You can also see here, despite that we explain research by purpose can be exploratory research, yes, and there are exploratory research paper. We talk about descriptive research as type of research by design, and you can now see we are still presenting descriptive research paper as one of the types of research papers. So all these things, it needs one's reading. Proper reading is what will be able to get you understand properly. I always encourage my colleagues in research to be able to understand that knowledge is not only what you know. Knowledge is not only what you know yourself. It's about also what you know where to get it. It's about it's also about it's also about what you can be able to it's also about what you can be able to know where it is. Like personally, as a researcher, I don't know what ethnographic research paper is, but I know someone who knows what ethnographic research paper is. All I need to is to meet him, and he will put me through. So today we have all these AI, these GPT charts, and many more that can help you in that. Even Google can give you some information. Today you can see if you Google anything, they will quickly give you some of these GPTIA results first before you continue to obtain other details informations. So it is essential that you continue to leverage on all this new technology, new research approach to be able to be upgrading what we personally don't know within us, but we know where we can access them. Okay, then now we are making a move to have a look at the purposes of scientific research paper writing. Why are we? Why are we publishing a research paper which must be scientific? What do you mean by scientific? Scientific means something that has been tested and proved by scientific means. I don't want to go more details about scientific evolutions of many things is what we are familiar with. So there is no way you can be on your own writing a research with your thinking and you expect it to scale through. No, it will not scale through. You have to follow the appropriate stages, criteria, means of doing that. So I have 5 purposes of scientific research paper. The first one is disseminating research findings. Whatever you have as a finding, you have to give it out. You have to communicate to others to know it. So you have to make it visible. So if you disseminate it properly, it will enhance visibility, it will enhance reputations of such particular knowledge. The credibility of knowledge will be enhanced and will be on you as a researcher that you publish it. Some of these relevant types of scientific documentations that are essentials where you can disseminate your research findings include research articles, conference papers, theses, and dissertations. We are much familiar with this because we all pass through schools, which we must have written project, thesis, or dissertations. Now that we are into academic institutions or research centers, our promotions tied to writing a conference paper and scholarly research articles. So all that we are doing in writing this is we are disseminating what? The research findings, the result of our researches. Yes, another purpose is validating scientific claims. And that can be achieved through an experimental protocol that you conduct, or validating a report, or you are ensuring the quality of a document. Either of these three that you are doing it in either to what? Validate a claims by your predecessors. If someone has a scientific writings that is playing a reasonable role, a critical role in one's engagements, which there are a lot of hypotheses true, there are a lot of experimentations true, there are a lot of analysis. So if you are able to see something that is not in line with a scientific approach, scientific norms, then you can be able to go on with your own research to be able to obtain how essential is that is. Then you now come off and follow it to ensure it is quality, or to validate. Likely is because of over times it's no longer valid, or based on the new instrumentation that comes in, that is new equipment that comes in that will give more precision, you now validate. Okay, so there is also one of the purpose of what this scientific research writing, which is advancing scientific knowledge. Yes, you have to have some writings that will be able to what? Contribute further. For example, now, if we give a practical example here for a proper understanding, is with respect to kind of different types of water packaging that we are having now in the market. There are sachets, there are can, they use metals, and there is this the other types that they use plastics. All these are different packaging, and each has its merit and demerit. So as a researcher, if you are able to see that all this one, we should go above it, that we should have a different approach to packaging water for people to buy or to use, then we can now be able to go to a research and be able to review all the situations on the ground through a literature review. Then we now be able to come up with a theoretical framework that will be able to give us a more robust conceptual models that everybody will agree with the approach and the suggestions. Then you now come off with what? A paper which will be able to give a in-depth report of what you have been able to take as an aspect, like the issue of packaging of water. Then now it will be accepted as a means of advancing scientific knowledge. So one of the purpose is this, We cannot continue to remain where we are. We have to be advancing in order to enhance our living. Then informing policy and decisions making. Some of these write-ups are there to bring out policy that has been agreed or regulatory directives by agencies that regulate many things. For example, if we will be able to take example, yes, in my area we have this Nigerian Institute of Building and Road Research. There is an institute that is concerned with building and road materials, developments, whatever. So this is a body that gives about what some of the policies that will be able to guide the development in that aspect. So if they were able to agree on something, if they didn't publish it, if they didn't put it into all these approaches we are making, people wouldn't know. So that's why there are a need. One of the purpose is informing policy and decisions what making. A decision can be taken in a National Assembly to be able to regulate one aspect. If there are no researches to be able to make it disseminate appropriately, we wouldn't know what is happening. So informing policy and decision making is one of the purpose of doing research and disseminating the research. Then number 5 here within the fifth I have listed, there are many more, is promoting critical thinking and scientific literacy. Yes. So if you pick your educational materials, study them appropriately, you continue to see a lot of thinking from different researchers. So if you pick one particular aspect, for example, the issue of this lack of proper supply of electricity that is common in our environment today. So there are different alternative methods which you can engage to be able to be supplying yourself with your energy you need in your houses. Okay, so if you are able to see some people doing different thinkings in achieving that, a lot of people have a different means. If you go to a lot of household, you see different approaches, different concepts. Some will say, okay, let me do it like this, I'll be able to achieve. So if you continue to think and now be able to see from the education materials available in the alternative source of energy, you now have a clear directions of what you can be able to bring out to solve a problem. You know, we say research is a problem solving skills. It's a mechanism of solving problems, giving solutions. So you can now be able to think critically, look at education materials available, communicate appropriately using scientific approaches, bring out about these articles, publish them. Then you have enhanced a scientific literacy and you are now promoting a critical thinking that can be disseminated as a result, a research outputs. Okay, so we are making a progress now, being able to have all that clearly understood or perhaps begin to understand it. Then what are the key components of a research paper? The structure. Yes, we can be able to see even from our image 10 key components of a research what paper. We have the title, we have the abstract, the literature, the introductory aspect, the literature review component, the methodology, result, discussions. So each of these 10, it has a several component within it. There are several what component within it. But this is a key component, and there is a way they were structured. Depending on the type of what research or research paper, structure and key component may be the same or may vary. So now, the 10 key components are also listed here, which I wish we will be able to Just be patient enough to have a look at them to say more about them. But you have to establish that the structure and key components may mean the same in some type of research write-off, and they may not be the same depending on the context. So we'll see some of where they differ, and we'll be able to see where we are silent about structure, we are dealing about component only. So title page. Title page is familiar to many of us, but that has a unified means of presenting it. This may vary from one conference proceedings, journal, or a means of write-off, depending that it varies. But it must include what? A title. It must also include author's name. It must also include affiliations of the what? Author or authors. There may be number of authors. We always encourage a team work. We always encourage a group work. We no longer encourage individual authorship. Is that outdated? It's no longer tenable. Despite that, you see in some places, because of the control, they may be insisting, but it's not the right things. Then date of submissions and the date of publications, all these are there. The title page gives a clear perspective of what is inside the main research paper. Abstract. Many were familiar with abstract. Some call it summary, but in real sense, it's not exactly a summary. Sorry. It is a summary because it summarizes all the components. In abstract, you must cover all the or almost 10 of these key components listed. But each of these should be in a summary format, usually 150 to 250 words. Each journal's publication styles, conference, or whatever, they specify what they want. And they are testing your capability, your capacity in write-off. They may ask you to give your abstract in even less than 50 words. And it has to cover all that are the key component of your research paper. So you see, it's a skill that you have to keep on improving. Introduction. The introductions most especially may depend. In some journals or in some write-ups, you see they use background. They don't call it introductions. But what background is doing, background is also introducing, isn't it? And in the introductions or in the background, you will be given a focus of the question you want to answer, the question your research is dealing with, and why. And why is it important? You justify. So introductions has a lot of component inbuilt in it, which I believe we'll be able to discuss further when we are concerned with a journal later. Literature review, we are much familiar with, but the major challenge that we face as researchers with the literature review is sometimes many of us believe that literature review is about collection. When you collect literatures, you need to review. What is reviewing? Reviewing is looking at the findings of that particular literature you collect. How does it relate with the hello?
Yes, sir, we are with you, sir.
Okay. It has to do with what others must have put in writing. If we take an example, because it's essential in this literature review, most often that today we have this issue of plagiarism that is common. And today there are a lot of softwares that check and detect the label, the percentage of similarity. We call it similarity index. So one has to be very careful about his own literature review, such that it has to satisfy different approaches. I appreciate in our platform some 2 or 3 days back, I've seen some people trying to present some different types of this plagiarism, and I encourage people to take each of the types and be able to further study what it is and what is it allowed and what is not allowed. I personally always encourage researchers to be taking paraphrasing as a more appropriate way of literature review, because you are not creating a new knowledge, you are not bringing a new things, you are only bringing others people research, other people findings, other people thoughts they disseminate depending on the five purposes we mentioned just now. Then what is it liking from what is in the existence and where we are today? That is gaps. Okay, for example, now if we be able to take okay, the issue of fuel price rising with the new administrations, just someone last year we were able to see a great gap between the money we input to buy a 1 liter fuel to what we are buying today. Okay, so now you want to have a study, you want to research a way forward, then you will be able to see that in the literature there are different types of these fuels that you can still engage into. You can see some people are talking about gas. One should be using this compressed gas as a fuel. Some are still using fuel, the gas, gasoline, the petrol. All these are different types of different. So at least if you want to do a proper literature review, you have to review all of them to see what is the advantage, merit, and demerit of each of them. Then now today, based on the prices that we are undergoing, what is the gap? Then you establish a gap. Then you now be able to profile solutions to people to say, okay, if you are using a car of so types, this is the more appropriate. You should remain with your petrol fuel, or you should go for a gas, or you should go for compressed gas. You know, these are some of the things that is essential. Literature review is very critical aspect that most often kills or dismay or disagree with what people are trying to come out with. Then methodology. Because of time, we may not take all the time to keep on discussing on these components, but these are the essential aspects of our presentations. Methodology. That's materials and methods. If you are going to do a research, you need to be able to know what are the materials you require and how are you going to use them. That is the methods. So research design is another name for methodology. It has to do with the data you are collecting and the way you analyze them. How you collect data, there are a lot of, we'll be able to discuss further about it. I appreciate one presentations is able to give more details about this, but this is a follow-up to that. In data collection, there are two things that I also want to draw our attentions to, which is a very common mistake with many researchers. There is what is referred to as data collections instruments, and there is method of administering the data collection instrument. If you be able to take example of let's say the very common things, the very common approach, a research, you see, we will say questionnaire. I draft a questionnaire and I collect data. Great. So is questionnaire an instrument? Yes, it's an instrument.
Yes, it's an instrument.
Okay. So how do you administer it? There is different approach. If I say you can administer your questionnaire through interview, so people will begin to say, interview is a different method. Interview is not a different method. Interview is a technique of collecting data. It's not an instrument. Interview is a method of what administering an instrument. It's not an instrument. This is most of the challenges we used to face most often in researches. Even in article write-up we submitted, because we say it has to pass through a rigor, quality, and all these things. We find all these things, we keep on observing for a researcher to correct. So if you have your questionnaire, then you may decide to fill it through interview. You pick your questionnaire, you go to individuals, it's either you ask them answers, they supply, you fill in, you are interviewing them. Or you drop it to them, they fill it, and you later collect. Or you give them and wait for them, and they fill it. So there are different approaches. So, but sometimes we have a protocol, interview protocol. We have interview protocol. It's an instrument which put down the questions you are going to use in the interview. Because there is even what is called focus group interview. You look at groups and you go and interview them. You can't go to interview without a protocol, without interview guides. Some people call it interview guide. So there are a lot of things to understand. Please, whenever you are putting a methodology, you need to have a data collections instrument and data method of administering the data collection instrument. Another thing is of interest here also is sometimes some people, even in the previous presentations last week, the same time, the presenter was able to give you different instrument and is able to draw your attention to tools and equipment. Tools and equipment are not instrument in research. Please take note of this. Tools and equipment are some of things that aided you in collecting the data. Common example is when you are using a camera to take a picture as a data, such a camera is a tool or equipment that aided your collection of data. It's not an instrument. So instrument is a specified items in research, which it has its proper meaning, different from the literal you think it to be. So there is need for paying attention to that. Then another aspect of interest to draw your attentions is about the data analysis also. In data analysis, in the methodology, you have to explain vividly, point by point, how each of the data you collected are going to be analyzed. Not that after we move to the result, we continue to see analysis. We are concerned with the result there. How you analyze, like for example, if you are going to do ANOVA, you have to tell us all the input you require for ANOVA there, then the process. Are you going to use a manual approach? Are you going to use software? Then what is the criteria of accepting or rejecting? Has to be properly stated there. That's what makes a complete methodology. Then what is needed at the end of the day when you move to the result will not be seen, either is accepted or rejected. Then you now make a discussion. That's the interpretations, comparison. Then why this, why that? Discussions, when you have a result, you see more often, sometimes you see that in some structure, they say results and discussions. In some structure, they prepare, you present the result independent of the discussions. But more open, in a more rigorous presentations and these things, you see them, they go together. This is the result, and this is the discussions, the interpretations. Why is it this? How? What am I saying? What others say? Then what is way forward? What limitations do you have in using these findings? All these are within the discussions. Okay, conclusion. Some people call it summary. Summary of what? This is the summary of what you did. What are you saying? After finishing all, a sentence may be enough for a summary. More open is enough for conclusions. But some, in conclusion, when they see summary there, they go ahead and start bringing all they did from item 1 here to item 7 to make it a conclusion. No. More open, some people used to present their conclusion based on their objectives. You can see here, we didn't have objectives mentions, but it's also one of the important key components, which we'll be able to have a look at it. It's more common in a student research work, thesis or dissertations. It's not much common in our articles, publications, that is in journal or conference, but the way they are presented is the way it's being presented. We will also have a look at that later. Okay, then reference and bibliography. Referencing is different from bibliography. I believe many of you know the difference, but in more open, as a researcher, you have to look and see within the write-up which one is your format. Because whatever kind of write-off we mentioned, we'll look at the student research write-up, we'll look at conference and articles. So either of these, they used to choose which one you prefer. Is it reference or bibliography? So there are difference. Appendices. In appendices, you present materials that are too bulky that you cannot be able to present them during the result presentations, or you cannot put them during the methodology aspect or within the literature because of their bulkiness. It will digress your reader from following you properly. So you just take it there, and he may be referred to it. When you are making a presentation, you say, okay, see appendix. You are now telling him, no, what I'm telling you here actually may not be enough for you. Most especially, you are not a master or you are not in depth into that area. Please go to appendix and learn more of what I'm just saying here. That's the extent of appendices. More open, you see, if you have some, like if it's a project work, thesis or dissertations, most of these instruments you use in collecting data and some of the other tables you use to collect some of the data as a secondary data, they are all placed there. So please, this 10 key component research, I think it has taken much of our time, but we'll continue to discuss them till the end of these presentations. Okay, basic structure of student research work. The common student research work is in diploma or degrees. In diploma, is usually a project. In degrees, that's the undergraduate, usually a project also. But at postgraduate level, the graduate schools is usually dissertations or thesis, depending on the institution. Some institutions look masters at dissertation, some look it as a thesis. Is interchangeable depending on the format, because each institution has its what format of submissions of their completed research work. Here we have 7 structure. 7 what? Structure. The preliminaries, I believe you all know it. It involves all the aspects of this title page, acknowledgement, dedication, signing, table of contents, abstract, all there are a lot. You are familiar. Then the introduction. In the introduction chapter, you have to have your background, problem statement, the aim and objectives, justifications or significance. You are justifying your significance of your study, or in some places you see need of study, in which in the need of the study you have the justifications and the significance all coming through together. In some places, in the introductions, you still see the research questions, research hypotheses. You also see in some formats within the introduction also this conceptual framework or the theoretical framework. Almost all these depend on the structure. If you are going to submit your research for MSc in one university, if you take it to other university, they will fail you because their format is not the same. But for a more researcher, someone that knows what he's doing, when you read both the format, he can be able to see the outcome of the research. But if you are not, if you are a learner, very difficult for you to be able to be seeing the outcomes if you are not familiar with the format. If you go to UK, their format is different from what in US, and even within the US, there are different formats. Even when you come here in Nigeria, you will see that if you go from one university to another, you see different formats. So it's essential to look at this structure. This format is somewhat referred to as structure. Format is somehow referred to as what? Structure. Then materials and methods, methodology. I think I've said it before. Major findings and discussions. Yes, sometimes you see major findings and discussions. All these are chapters. In some format, you see this chapter 4 being broken into 4 or 5s. So at the end of the day, instead of 5, you see up to 9 chapters. Then chapter 5 is summary, major, or conclusions. They call summary of major findings, depending. Then the recommendations, who are you recommending to? It has its unique characteristics. Conclusion is always, as I've said earlier, a whole statement. It's a holistic statement, more appropriate. But sometimes, more especially in this kind of student research work, it's more appropriate to make your conclusion on the basis of the steps you've taken to do your research, which is what? Objectives. Based on the objectives, each objective has its own result. So what are you saying on it? That will give you more simple approach to conclusions. When you have them, if you can be able to put it a holistic, a sentence or a paragraph right off, you can go ahead. But recommendations is on the basis of major result findings. Who are you asking to use that your findings? How is he going to use it? So recommendation is about many things. It's about to who, why, and how. Otherwise, your findings may not be much appropriate because it's a solution. And the solutions usually come through the recommendations. The references and appendices, I think I've said about them because of time. Okay, some key component of student research work, we are bringing it back. That first one we mentioned, if you go back, please, is the structure, which is taking a chapters approach. It's a format. Then when you come to here, is components. So titles has a lot of things under it, periodic has a lot of under it, table of contents, then the background. Please permit me. We'll do it in the literature. I want to say more about how you write background. What is essential in background? Problem statement. Need for the studies to justifications. I'll begin to say a little about it, but please permit me to. I hope my audience are with me. Hello?
We are with you.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. Why I'm calling your attention is because this component of our presentation is more of narrative. It's more of discussion. So I wish to quickly round up so that I can give room for interactions. Because many people begin to say, that's how I'm doing this thing. But this man is saying different thing. Which one is the correct one? Are you with me? So I know that many of you know about this section, need for the study. Need for the study is obtainable in most of this student research work. Even in some journal or conferences, they use need for the study. So wherever you see need for the study, it goes with these two components. It's going with these two components, the significance and the justifications. You have to show the significance, the importance, why you are doing the research. Immediately you say the reasons, the importance why you are doing the research, then you have to justify. It's not enough to show the significance, but you have to justify. That is why more often you see in some of the journals or the conferences, they require you to provide justifications only. When you see justifications only, they are also asking you about the significance there. If you see significance only, they are also asking you about the justifications there. And when you see need for the study, they are asking you the two together. I don't know that I make myself clear. And I wish, because of the nature of this thing, I don't know if you are likely, I observe that you are doing some assignments. I don't know. My coordinator, if I
Yes, sir.
didn't, I think this is essential if we can encourage our audience to be able to develop or to even search for us some of these samples,
Okay, sir.
because yes, there are different journals. Some journals
We
they
will
use
include
this.
them in the assignment.
Yes, because that will help them to be able to understand properly the differences and how they can use their skills. Writing is about skills, because some people have more skills than the others. And skills is what you learn. If you are continuing to do one thing daily and you are not doing it right, you are doing nothing. Please permit me to say this. A person that is progressive is a person that is accepting changes. If you didn't change from what you are doing, you are not making a progress. I don't know that I'm making myself.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then aim and objectives. Yes, there is a lot to say about this aim and objective, because I cannot see aim and objective further. I want to say more open. In writing aim, there is what we call view. And you find that many people didn't understand the concept of view in aim. Aim is what you wish to achieve. And you find that more often aims go in line with title, because the title is telling about the work and the aim is telling what you want to achieve, so they go line in line. So more often, if you have more skills in write-off, you don't copy your title and put it as aim, but it's saying the same thing. That is why you have to have bulk of words and how to use them. The synonyms is essentials. Okay, the meaning is the same, but the way you write show a brevity in your writing. I don't know, for the younger colleagues that are here with us, there is one thing that we learned a lot before, but today in most of our curriculum is taken away. This issue of technical report writing. You can see that in most of these B marks or C marks today, they are asking about research method, research process, project research. They are not longer talking about technical report writing. I encourage many of us to please go back to most of these documents. You will learn a lot of skills there. Okay, so if, for example, now, let me take this as example. Let's say your title of a research work is about appraising the maintenance process of building. We are all occupying buildings, Abi? Yes, we are all occupying buildings. Okay, so the title of the work is appraising the maintenance practice of, let's say, duplex. Okay, then the M, when you come to M, if you carry that one and put as your M, it can go, but it's not good enough. If you are able to repress it to say that this is going to assess the practice of maintaining building duplex with view. This view is telling what you are going to look at, this integral component of your assessment. In looking at the maintenance process of these buildings, are you concerned with the cost? Are you concerned with the quality of the maintenance carried out? Are you concerned with the quality of the personnel doing the maintenance? Are you concerned, in the title we say practice. So are you concerned with the process, who involved, when you submit problem that is in your house and when they come to respond to it? Or entirely you are concerned with the practice is about the problem it creates to the occupant of the buildings. So you can see different views are there. So that view will help you to write your objectives properly. Let's say you are concerned with the quality of the buildings. If you are concerned with the quality of the buildings, then now you begin to look at the sick building syndromes, the kind of the dampness that are there within the lower level of their walls, the quality of the paint, whether madam, when she's cooking, he spoil your walls with the soup and many other things. What the type of the surface you have, is it textured that your children they used to scratch their body, and many other things about the building and the occupant, their relationships. Okay, the research question and hypothesis. Research question and hypothesis is another essential component here in the student research work, which is also there in almost all the kind of conference or the journal publications or write-up. Research questions, more common, go in lines with the objectives. If you put down your objectives, then you will now be able to raise questions that lead to the conduct of your objectives as steps. Like, for example, of this issue, I've taken maintenance of a duplex, maintenance process of a duplex as an example. Okay, let's take one objectives to be that you want to assess the quality of building with respect to the occupants. Then your research question is about, you can ask, depending on the nature of your what? Research by outcomes, research by results. What do you want to have? Do you want to quantify or you want to expose? All these are the skills that are keeping coming, because that is why in student research work, where we are learning all this process of research, we have a supervisor. We have a what? A supervisor. Such a supervisor has all these skills I'm mentioning. When you bring things, he will go through it and be able to discuss with you and guide you. Sorry, my colleagues, I believe over 60-70% of my audience now are in academics, and we supervise student projects. And this is where we are living the whole process. We are not doing a supervisions anymore. My apology to say this, please. Oga coordinator, I hope I'm not doing wrong. Hello, my audience.
Yes, sir.
We are with you, sir.
We are with you, sir.
We are with you, sir.
Yes.
We can hear you, sir.
Yes.
But
I
the
hope
only
I'm
thing,
not
sir,
doing.
the
Sorry.
only thing, sir, we have just only 10 minutes now left, because we
Okay.
are normally closing by 3:45.
Okay.
We are with
Okay.
you, sir.
Okay. Then the theoretical and conceptual framework. I don't know whether
Yes.
people know theoretical concepts or the conceptual framework. Sorry, please let me say this conceptual framework for people to really get it through.
Okay, sir.
Yes, conceptual framework is about how one did his work, the concept he followed, and perhaps what concept are you going to follow in your own research work. If he follow these particular stages in doing his own work, he show it in a pictorial representations, Then you also want to follow from this stage to this stage to that stage. You are following his conceptual framework. And there are different framework based on concept or based on theory. Please, I don't know whether there is enough time. You see, they are even calling my attention on time. I cannot explain properly. So please, you need to take your time and read to know what a theoretical framework is in research and what a conceptual framework is in research, such that when you are doing your research, you should know where your kind of aim and objectives fall in. Your research question and hypothesis fall in, so that you can be able to stimulate. Scope and limitations is also essential. I don't know. And there is what is called delimitations. Delimitation is different from limitations. Scope is what you want to do. Delimitation is what you decide not to do as a researcher, while limitations is the problem, the barriers you encounter during the process of your research. Literature review, I explained earlier, materials and method also, result and discussions in different setup, different format. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, depending on the requirements of the submissions, summary, conclusion, recommendation, the references, and appendices. Okay, then the next thing is the tips on planning journal article from student research. This skills is also essential, please, my colleague. More often, many of us have a good student research work, but they are unable to bring it out to publish because of the skills they are lacking in doing that. Some of the tips are here for us. You have to isolate a manageable size based on one single topic. If you can remember the previous time, we talked about that. Then you now create a coherent story or argument about it. Then you now make such argument self-standing. Then you now pick it. Now look for the journals that require this 1, 2, 3 you have. Then after getting the exact journal, then you now be able to streamline, change, conform to their writing styles, that particular journal you publish. Please, you can read further and add more skills to this. General and base structure for writing an academic journal articles. We have the general, we have the basic. The title here, the abstract, the keywords. You know, we never talk about keywords before. Keywords are essential things, key things that are moving in your research. Then you list them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And more often, they have to follow a unified order, the sequence of how it is, because it's essential. It's what is telling the your audience that you have really captured all things that required. Like in the case of this maintenance, I've given an example. If you are dealing with the cost, the keywords has to follow right from the initial cost to the end cost, and there is variables in between them. Then that's how you put them in order. 5, sometimes 4, but more common is 5. Introductions, main body. Okay, sometimes in the introductions, as I've said, this is journal. In the introductions, you will see all the background, justification, significance are being captured, and an objective. All is in the introductions. But in most, main body is dealing with the gaps you want to, and as well the literature you have collected. How do they relate with one another? Then conclusion, reference, and citations. Now on the basic, we have the author and author's professional applications, introductions, literature review sections, methodology sections. Okay, these are what you can look and be able to be familiar with. Types of academic journals. We have different types of academic journals. Because of the times, do I have up to 10 minutes remaining?
Okay,
Oh,
sir.
5.
Let's make it 10 minutes, sir.
Okay. Sorry, please. I don't know whether I have.
No, sir, no, sorry. I go on, coach. Just write on, sir.
Okay. By contents. Types of academic journal by what? Contents.
By content.
Yes. So these journals come with several forms. So it has been categorized by either the type of the publishing or the publishing body organizations, the scope, because each journal has its own scope. They used to say this journal is for these aspects. Like, for example, in science and technology, there is a journal that deals with water only. Some they say we are dealing with only source of water. Some will only say we are dealing with the quality of water. So whatever you will be able to write, the content may be by the scope they prescribe. Okay, then the issue of access is another aspect in this type of academic journals. So original research most common types are presented here: review articles, methodological papers. All these, they comes by contents. The methodological papers, please, if I would draw your attentions to, there are some journals. They are only presenting a approach of doing things. Their attention is not about the results. Their attention of these methodological papers or journals are to guide people on how to be making a research on a different focus with a scientific approach. That of the review is telling is about knowledge building. You know, we say one of the purpose of this is advancing knowledge, critical thinking, if you remember all the purpose of. So these are the outcomes. Okay, then by content, we still have this case study, short report or letters, theoretical articles. Okay, then by scope, we have the interdisciplinary what? Journals. We have a specialized journals. Please, I encourage people or my audience to just have a read on this. They'll be able to appreciate, because if I take my time here, I will not be able to reach to the other aspects I'm interested in. Then other considerations that are essential is the trade journals. You get the point? Each
Yes, sir.
people are from different disciplines, I believe. Some are engineers, some are scientists, some are agriculturalists. So this trade is referring to, like me, I'm a builder. So we have our trade journals. We call it professional builder. There is professional engineer journal. Okay, in the agric, they have different journals that are. Even in the agric, they have different aspects. There are extensions, there is this, there is that. So please. Okay, these are tips on how to extract a journal paper from a larger research project. The skills, please identify a focus, get your focus, prepare for the journal, you get rewrite and condense, because you are extracting from a larger, then you now make abstract. All details of how to do all these are there. I believe when you read, you get them through, because I don't know, I didn't plan my time well. Otherwise, we'll be able to. I don't know. There is no. The 2 hours is not enough for us to dwell details of all these aspects. But I believe you learn a lot. Then conference paper. Yes, conference paper. I wish please to draw your attention. Conference paper is always different from journal paper. Conference paper is a gathering of scholars of interest that you go and present and get a review. You get a feedback. In journal, there is no feedback. This is one of the essential difference. But in conference paper, there is feedback. You can, as a researcher, like if you're a PhD student, you started your work, you only have chapter 1, you can develop a conference paper on that, and you go to the conference. Your target in going to that conference is to be able to come up with a methodology. So whatever you are presenting, you design your paper such that you get people guiding you on how to achieve your methodology. So a conference paper is always written with a target of what you want to achieve within the sequence or stages of your research. So the conference paper has similar structure like the journal, but it varies. And some of the variations are there explained. Then goals and objective of publications. Yes, I bring this SMART because it is essential. I appreciate it. SMART. This SMART is about specific. Your goal ought to be specific. Your goal ought to be measurable. Your goal must be achievable. It must be realistic and time bound. You don't enter into a research that you don't know when you finish. Please. So there is need to pay attention to most of this. The goal of publications is to disseminate new findings, foster knowledge sharing, and contribute to a field's overall understanding. This is the goal. We have talked about it before on research only. Okay? So the same thing in the publications. But the objectives, that is the stage wise of achieving your goal, is what? Making information public, facilitating discussion and debates, generating new knowledge, building reputation and career advancement, and documenting research efforts, fostering professional development, making impact on society, meeting requirements. This is where we are. Many of us are staff in our institutions and we want to rise up. And in rising up, you have to meet some requirements. And that is one of the goals of the publications. Okay? So please, we need to ginger our attitudes in that, because today you cannot progress without meeting requirements, and the way only is to publish and keep publishing. Okay, so in publication there are process, and some of these processes are listed here 1 to 7. It starts with identifying the need to publish, why are you publishing, and it ends with what? Recording the feedback for future improvements. You may read further on this, please. Choosing the right journal for publications. There is not much here, but what is essential here is for our colleagues to follow what has been put in writing in order to achieve that. The tips on choosing the right journal publications: 1, define your goal. What do you want to achieve? You want to get the audience to only know, and that's all? You want to get journal of impact? You have a big dream? If you want to go for an open access or traditional subscription based journals, there is a lot of options in defining your goals. You mentioned 3 here. Also, in research potential journals, there are all these Scopus, Web of Science. You have to look at the journal database to see what they are. What are their JCR? You get the point. What are the reputation of their editorial boards? Are they people of a caliber that you can know? Because some of the journals you target and you keep failing, and you don't know why you are failing, because you didn't look at the editorial board to see what they need. You didn't look at the journal websites to be able to learn about their focus, their scope, and their guidelines. So you keep sending, they keep rejecting. So please, you need to look at this research potential of a journal as essential things to look when choosing a right journal for publications. Evaluate journal quality. Yes, some people don't want to take their journals to where it's not going to be cited well. They may not benefit much from, because of they refuse to do all these evaluations. Guidelines, you review the author's guidelines and ensure compliance. Can you pay the author fees? Are the copyright policy enough for you? You are a person that you don't want to see anyone copying you. So a lot of things are there. Please, you can expand more points to these items I've listed. Okay? Avoid what? Predatory journals. Be cautious. People are there to make money. They will be calling you to submit. Is their money they want. So be cautious. Check the transparency of the journal you want to send to. Verify their indexing. If they are not there, please don't go for them. Okay? I believe by following these steps, you can be able to enhance and improve what you are doing. There are factors to consider when choosing the right journal for publications: impact of the journal and the journal ranking, scope and the focus, peer review process. Yes, please. More open people don't do the right thing in peer review process. And that is why they fail in getting the approval or acceptance of their journals. So please, rigor and transparency is what the reviewers are concerned with. So you sit down whenever you send a journal and they return back to you and they say, oh, accepted, no corrections, please forget about those people, they are not serious. Because there is no way you write, people cannot see a mistake and correct. Like now I'm making a presentations. I believe many are seeing my polling there and there. And when they are able to get it, that is when I can improve. But when you say, you claim and say, okay, I'll learn nothing from you. So a learner is whom submit himself to rigor and transparency and be ready to improve. So whenever you receive, no matter how is the nature of the comments or the reviewers' observations, take your time and follow it. You will learn. And that is where you respond to such. If you don't know, learn. Talk to colleagues, they will guide you. Don't send and say, "God, this is too much," and let me forget about it. No, meet people. There are a lot of treasury of knowledge around. Meet people. People can help you a lot. Are you going for an open access options? Accessibility, funding requirements are the challenges. Auto peace and corporate policy, I mentioned little about all this before, but I'm rushing to get this because it's the essential aspect I will close with. The personal experience and recommendations is also essential. Personal what? Experience, recommendations. You see people with experience, they put you on the course and guide you, mentor you. They give you recommendations to what to do and what not to do. And by that, you'll be able to get things right. The last, but not the least, please, my colleague, researchers' personal opinion or choice is always essential. Why are you publishing? Do you want to meet promotion requirements? If is that the case, there is guidelines of promotions. Follow it strictly. You do not publish where it's not going to be accepted. Please take note of this. I wish I take much time, but it's not possible. Personal career development. Yes, some people, they are not after meeting promotion requirement in their publications. All they want to satisfy their desire, their needs. Some want to solve local problems. Some want to be seen their names internationally, and they are solving international problems, forgetting their local contents. And that is what we are today in Nigeria. All our publications are not solving our immediate problems by our those sites, but we are after what solving the problems in UK and all these things. And if you are lucky, your area of research is not a area that is seen international perspective, you find difficulties. Like most of our colleagues in built environment, yes, we are not being able to solve our problems in our construction and other things within the built environment. But some people are always trying to write on smart buildings, and they don't have smart buildings here. Whatever they write, it will come down. Because our buildings are dull, are not smart, are not intelligent. We don't have intelligent buildings enough to do a research here. Whatever you are writing, they were above that in the last 20, 30 years. So how can that be? So please, personal career development is essential. What do you want? Journal with or without publication P. Many people target journals that they cannot pay for their P. And some journals are free. So be careful of what to do and know what you want to achieve. Please, Oga Coordinator, I don't know whether I'm able to do justice to this that I have been able to put down and be able to say, knowledge is in depth.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Thank
these
you.
are my submissions. I don't know whether my audience have one thing or the other to ask. If I can be able to thank you for listening. Yes, Oga is reminding me this. I didn't say thanks. So, thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I I I I believe the listeners, as the participants, will agree with me that Prof have done what is called in Hausa baja baja for this topic, with this area. So we are very grateful for this in-depth. I personally, I I learned a lot. To be sincere, I came across a lot of things that enhances my knowledge about this, especially this publishing aspect of it. Though we are running short of time, but we allow 1-2 people as pro, and also before them, I think time has done what it has been doing, nothing short of important things. But here at the Career Service, we are planning to invite the prop for physical workshop, inshallah. And we are going to send invitations to our partners, our collaborators. There is various institutions that we have been having partnership and collaboration to attend. But before then, you can raise up your hand, and then we'll give you a chance. Then you, Engineer Joseph, please 1 minute.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank you, able coordinator. I was curious in the course of the presentation because we observed that most academic institutions in Nigeria have different structures or formats for their research presentation. And I was curious more when they present, our resource person mentioned that even in US, they have different structures and formats. My question is that, is it not possible to unify these formats? Because when we did first degree, our institution gave us a format. We went for second degree, they gave us a different format. Now we are proceeding and we are seeing another different format. So at a point, it's difficult for us to reconcile what a standard research format ought to be. So I want to know, is it not possible for the academia to put heads together and give a unified standard that every researcher in a particular country should follow? Then the second question again is this. Talking about introduction, from the format we have introduction as chapter 1. I'm in an academic environment where, apart from the introduction in chapter 1, they say chapter 2, which is literature review, you write another introduction before the real work. Then coming to methodology, they want introduction again before the real work under that chapter. I don't know, I don't really know why it has to be like that. After writing a general introduction for the research work, having the introduction in literature review, introduction again in methodology.
Okay, yes, engineer, we have gotten your points because of time. Yes,
Yes,
the answers are available. I don't know. Are we taking the next question or we answer this one?
I think let's answer him.
Okay.
First,
okay.
So that.
Okay. Yes. I think, engineer, I think I appreciate your questions. And for the issue of these introductions, sir, I don't know, will I say student or is the fault of the writers? Introduction is only one in research work. Conclusion is only one. There are some terms in research, just like the instrument I was mentioning earlier, that instrument in research is what is instrument in research, not what you think it is. So what is supposed to be there is preamble. We call it preamble. If you go to literature review and you have introductions, call it preamble. Make it a preamble. You don't need to give a title as introduction. You just write it and leave it there. A good researcher know what it is. No, it is introduction, but it's not named as introduction. If you want to make it a preamble, you should know it inbuilt in you that it's preamble, but you don't need a title for it. Some people will go to a chapter and start making introduction. No introductions. It's only one introduction in a research work submissions. Though no repetitions. But you can make it as a preamble or any other approach. And that is why this issue of format is essential. If your institutions require such approach, they will design it to meet such requirements. Why we may not have a unified format is because you can see right from the initial stage where I made mentions about different types of research. I said by purpose, by design, by research outcomes. So this is what guide institutions to say, this is what we are for. Even in Nigeria, we have a University of Agriculture, We have University of Technology. So they have different mandates by the law of the developers who brought it in. And they have their target, they give them what they want to achieve. So they come on to stimulate their format in towards achieving that target. So there is no need for unifying what format, because the universities are not achieving the same mandate. They have different mandate. So they will be able to structure their submissions in order to go in line with that. And it is an advantage to you, engineer, so that you can learn a lot. Learning is continuous. Yes, that is the importance why we encourage people not to be doing like ourselves. My first degree is ABU, second degree ABU, third degree ABU. It's not encouraging anymore. Please go to different institutions and learn a lot about what they are doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Even the engineer is a senior colleague in profession. He's working with NARIT instead of chemical research. And I think that's one of the reasons why they have maybe their own format, different formats, as rightly captured by the facilitator. Different organizations, different institutions, they have different mandate and goal. So they design their report to meet up those particular requirement. I think I'm just trying to add to what Prof. just said. We have any other? I think we have who else? Nobody has raised up his hand or her hand. Then we have to Ali Ibrahim. You raised up your hand before. Are you still going to ask a question?
Yes, I have a question, sir.
Pardon?
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, your internet is not stable. So we're not hearing you. Please, we're sorry, we're not hearing what you are saying. I don't know if Prof maybe is.
No, I didn't get him, except if you can quickly write as we are attending the order before we come back to later.
Maybe you can write your questions there on the chat so that we can be able to go through, and then we will attend to you before we end up. This one, okay. Before somebody raises up his hand, let us look at the chat. If anybody has dropped any, this one, Sarah Ahmad, she's saying, you have done an excellent job, sir. We really gain a lot, Prof. Thank you very much. So Prof, they are appreciating. Elisha Zakaria also, thank you for the wonderful presentation, sir. Saluhu Suleiman Adoka, thank you very much, sir, Prof. My HOD, Clara Bowman, she's saying we're grateful for, and then we have, who is this? Abdulaziz Abdulhamid, he's saying thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Prof, for a wonderful and insightful presentation from Asimu Abdullahi. Emmanuel Ali is saying, I wish there is more time for this wonderful presentation. Thank you, Prof, sir, for this mind-blowing presentation. Zubairu Suleiman is saying, thank you so much, sir. That was indeed a wonderful presentation. Well done and kind regard. There are a lot